Hello, I'm Mathieu from LudoChrono, and today I'm going to give you an overview of Hanabi Great Fireworks. So this is a cooperative game for 2 to 5 players ages 8 and up, and it plays for around half an hour. This is a game in which you play as artificers and you have tangled up all of the fuses of the show, and you need to start that show right now. To do so, you need to play the cards in sequence to create series of a certain color and of all of the colors, and you need to do them from 1 to 5, not missing any numbers. You lose together or win together in this game. There is no single winner or single loser. Everyone plays for the team. So the particular thing about this game is that you never see what you have in your hand. You see what the other players have, but you never get to see what you have in your hand. Other players are going to give you hints thanks to the clue tokens. You will have in this box an updated version of the Hanabi material, because this is a reprint, and you also have 3 expansions, which I'm going to dwell on later in the video. So how do you play Hanabi? Well, on your turn, you have one out of 3 things to choose from. So the first thing I can choose from is giving a hint. By spending one of the clue tokens, I can give a hint to one player. So for example, I want to give a clue to the person to my right. I will tell them either a clue on the colors of their cards or on a number. So for example, I will tell them, okay, you have blue cards. You have 2 blue cards and they are there and there. So now they have to memorize that. And my turn is over, I pass on to the next player. The next player will also give a clue to that player. And that player will give a hint about a value. So for example, they will say, okay, you have ones. You have a 1 here and another 1 here. So now that player has more hints, more clues about what's going on in their game. Then the next player will take their turn, and the problem is that they don't have any intel. So because they didn't receive any hints, they will probably think that their hand is not of a great value. So they will discard a card, and this will give the team another token, another hint token that comes from the discard pile. Then they will draw a card, not looking at it, and placing them into their hand. So that's basically 2 out of the 3 actions, the third action being play a card. To play a card, you simply place it on the game board, on the table, in the center of the table. So now that player knows that this card is a 1 and it's a blue, and there is no blue 1 here. So this player could start a sequence by playing the 1 and starting a new sequence. So that advances scoring and the game. Then they would refill the hand to hand size. Obviously, you can make some mistakes. There are 2 types of mistakes. The first type of mistake is playing a card that's already been played. So for example, if that player plays this green one, it's already been played. So that's a mistake. And every time you make a mistake, you discard the card and you actually flip one of those tiles. When all 3 of these tiles are flipped, that's the end of the game. The show is over and players lose the game altogether. They don't score, and that's bad. Anyway, they would draw another card to replace it. The second type of error that we can make is playing a card out of sequence. So if we played this 3 before the 2, that would be another mistake. We would flip a tile there and thus replace it afterwards. So now there is a special thing about 5s. The 5s are very special cards because let's imagine that we played a bit more and the game looks like this. And that player has some intel, and that player will play the yellow 5. And by placing the yellow 5, that player gives us a breath of fresh air because we get a clue token with the completion of a series. So this is very nice. So the game can end 3 ways. The first way is if we lose, if we have 3 error tiles flipped, that's a loss for all players. The second thing is if we make it, if we completely pull out the series and bring them forth, we have the maximum score, we have 25 points. This is a full victory. And the third way is if we deplete the draw pile and the hands of the players, but we didn't succeed in making the full victory. You're going to look at this at this board, and it's going to tell you the score that you will have, and you will have to basically add up the highest value of each color to get your final score and see how highly praised is your score. So now we have 3 expansions in the Hanabi Great Fireworks box. The first expansion being Flamboyant 5. So in this expansion you have 6 tiles. Every time you place a 5, instead of getting a new clue token, you're going to flip one of those. And what that allows you to do is dependent on the tile. Sometimes you will gain clues or even regain some lifelines. Sometimes you will have to give hints now. Sometimes you will take cards from the discard pile and play them, shuffle them into the deck, that kind of thing. So that's the Flamboyant 5 expansion. Now we have 2 other expansions which involve cards that are going to be shuffled into the main deck. So this one is Color Outburst, and it boasts a new color which is multicolored fireworks. And while this is in your hand, if someone gives you a hint on any color, they will have to mention this. So for me to understand that this is a multicolored, I will have to get a hint about blue. If someone says, okay, you have blue cards, they will have to point at 3 blue cards. If people point at white cards, they will have to say, okay, you have 3 white cards, because this counts as every single color. So this is a new color. This rises up the maximum score to 30 points because now we have 6 colors to make. The other expansion that we have is Black Powder. So this is a new family, which is fireworks made of black powder. And instead of going upwards, they go downwards. You start with a 5, you finish with the 1. And the additional rule that they have is that players can never mention their color. So what happens is that they will be able to tell me it's a 5, but they will never be able to tell me it's of any color. If they mention colors, they can never mention it's black. They can never do anything about it for color. So I have to guess by myself that I have to play this card. That's it for the 3 expansions of that are available in the Hanabi Great Fireworks box. So Hanabi is a game in which you need to cooperate, to also calculate and to memorize, to coordinate, to create the most beautiful sequence of fireworks ever. That's it, folks. Bye bye. See you on LudoVox.fi.